This is Word Module 2 SAM Textbook Project. It is the project that covers the research paper. Now before we get started, I have taken the opportunity to open up my flash drive, go to my CIT 105 folder and opened up Word, and I see that I've got all these Word files in here. What I'd like to do now is put them in their own separate folder and put Word Module 2 in its separate folder, and the same thing for Module 3. So while I'm here, I'm going to create a new folder, and I'll just say Word 1. Well, that's not going to work if we're in all caps. And I'll go ahead and create another one, Word 2. And because I know we have 3 modules to cover, we'll do a Word 3. Well, I clicked a little too fast, so we'll just go in here and edit it. Okay, so now we have these available, and I will just minimize that down. I have taken the liberty of going into course content for my course, assignments in Word, because that's where you're going to find your Word textbook assignments and your training and your projects that are gradable. So we want to go to the Word Module 2 SAM Textbook Project to start it up and launch it. And we're going to use the MLA style guide. There are several style guides that are available for you to use, and you can use those within Word. But we will follow the guides for MLA, the Modern Language Association of America style guide. For Mac folks, again, this is not compatible with Office for Mac, but you should be able to get a lot of it completed. Just, work through what you can and watch the video and read through the book, look at the pictures if you need to, so that when you do your other assignment, it should be, of course, your graded assignment should be Mac compatible. So we'll start it. Now, let me go back to the first screen because I've been here looking around. Obviously, we would want to open up the textbook and follow the instructions in the textbook. We don't want to create a new blank document because we are working from a start file. In order to get the correct name, like we did for Word Module 1, we'll have to click on the Continue button and highlight the name of the expected file name, but don't capture the .docx. You can right-click on the name that's highlighted and choose Copy, or I just do a Control-C. Then click on the back button down at the bottom, and you're going to click on the Start File Name. We want to make sure that we navigate to where our file needs to go, onto my flash drive in my class folder, and I want this to go into Word Module 2, Word 2. You remind me at the end we need to move those Module 1 files into Word 1. Now, we have the wrong name here for the file name, so I'm just going to click one time so it's highlighted. And you can either right-click on it and choose Paste, or Control-V as in Victor to put the correct name in there. If you happen to have gotten the period or part of the .docx, and I'll just demonstrate here. Let's say I just got the whole thing. Well, I can click at the end of my file name, and I can just backspace that part off. So if you got a little more than you meant to, you can still fix it before you save it. So we're going to save that. Now, we want to go into the textbook here for just a moment, and then I'm going to work from the printed textbook. It's just easier for me to do so. Okay, here we go. Again, I would close out that sidebar so you have more reading room. And I'm going to go to the table of contents just so I can start off from the very beginning. Looks like I was closely there. And again, they give you some definitions between the MLA and the APA. Those are the 2 most popular style guides that can be used. They give you a sample of what things going to look like when you're finished. Notice you have a footnote on this page. And notice how it's spaced and indented. This is that list like they did before about all the things you're going to do in order to accomplish the task to create the research paper. And then they go through and they'll tell you, you know, MLA documentation style uses the term works cited for the bibliographic list of sources. So I'm just going to highlight this. You know, as I said before, you might want to highlight some of the things that you're reading about in here because they could show up on a test, part of the concepts, if you will. And then they'll talk about, you know, getting started and setting up your specific settings for this particular project. Now, it's perfectly fine not to use a blank document, but to start with your start file. But you would want to make sure Word is maximized. So you could definitely want that one. You want to make sure print layout button down on the status bar is selected. I guess I should have selected the whole sentence there. And in this case, we want to make sure that normal is selected. The normal style. We're going to modify it. Display the View tab. And we want to make sure that our zoom control right now is page width. And then we'll go to the Home tab and we'll turn on Show Hide. Then we start talking a little bit about what a style is and what normal style is. And we're going to modify it so it fits the needs of the MLA's standard style guide. If I go back here one little step here just to point out, you know, they'll talk about, you know, the resolution. They did it in the first one. You know, if you want it to kind of look like the book, when you're looking at the book, whether you've got a printed book or the e-book, they told you that it was like, I think, 1344 by 768 or something like that. You don't have to do that part. Now, do you finally start doing where you're going to modify the style in the styles gallery and so on, okay? So again, I would do, as I'm reading through this, I might choose to highlight. Let's see if I can get this to highlight the steps before I do them, or as I go along, to make sure I don't skip one, okay? So what I'm going to do here is close this down and get started with our document. So we had it, if you're using Chrome, it should be appearing as a place to load it. Let me drag it into place here and maximize the screen. Now, the things that it wanted us to do, if we remember correctly, is that we want to make sure the screen's maximized. It is. We want to make sure that we have the view set to page width. We want to make sure that print layout down at the bottom is the view that we're looking at right now, print layout. We want to make sure that the normal tab on the home ribbon, the normal style is the one that's selected right now, which it is. And let's see, we're going to modify the normal style. Now be careful about this because you don't want this to be the style that you use for every new blank document. So pay close attention to the steps. But you're going to right click on normal and you're going to choose modify, the second option from the top. Now from the modify style dialog box that appears, let's pull it up here where you can see it a little bit better. You can see that right now normal is a paragraph style type. It is currently using Calibri Body as the font name and a font size of 11. Color is just automatic, which would be the default is, you know, black text. So we have a need to change some of these characteristics. First and foremost, we want to change the font name itself to Times New Roman. Now, you may have used that frequently and it's up at the top, or you may have to scroll through it alphabetically to find it, and I just grab the little scroll bar and just take it down till I get to the T's, and then I go and click on Times New Roman. The other thing that I know we need to change is MLA guidelines require that this be a 12 point, not 11 point, so we're going to change that to 12 point for the font size. And then we want to make sure that only in this document is selected. So only for this research paper project that we're working on now is this going to apply. You don't want it to create new documents based on this because they'll all have Times New Roman 12 point. Now, we click on OK at the bottom to accept those changes. And if you'll look up in the font group, you'll see Times New Roman and 12 point. We need to change the line spacing. So in the paragraph group, there's a button that has an up arrow and a down arrow next to lines that look like text. And we want to just click on that. It's the line and paragraph spacing button. And from the middle point there, we want to choose 2.0. That's double spacing. And then we want to remove the space after paragraph. So let's go back and click on that same button again. By default, and before I do this, let me just highlight my insertion point. Yes, we're double spaced, but we've got a little bit of extra space down here. So when we go here to the line and paragraph spacing button again and we say remove it, it's a little shorter. The space we have after that paragraph symbol is now double spaced. It doesn't have any extra space after the paragraph. Now, we need to update our style to match the selections that we made. We made a couple of selections when we right-clicked on normal and changed it to Times New Roman and 12 point. But now we've made some other adjustments, and we'd like to apply those adjustments to our updated style. So we want to right-click on normal, and you should see the update normal to match selection, the very first option. You want to click on that. Now, it doesn't really look like we've done anything, but if you'll think about it, we've changed the font size, changed the font name, we have made it double space, we have gotten rid of the extra space that we don't need, all before we started typing. It's very important to get things set up before you start typing your research paper so that it more closely resembles the guide style that you're using. Okay? Now, creating a header. So they're going to have us use insert on the ribbon, and we're going to go to the header button. Here's header and footer, there's header. And we want to add a header, so we're going to click on this, and they want us to choose a blank header. So we're going to click on blank header. Notice how it moved us up to the header section. You know, this is typically what we think of as part of our margin, top margin, but really and truly it's going to give us a little bit extra space for any header information that we want to put up there. So we chose blank, and it wants us to go to the home tab, and let's see here, we want to align this to the right. So in the paragraph group you have the align right button. When you click it, it moves the type here placeholder to the right edge, or the right margin actually. Now we're going to type in the person's last name, which is Yazzie. So we're going to click where it says type here, Yazzie, and a space, and we also wanted to insert a page number. So I'm going to go back to my header and footer tools design. It's a contextual tab, and I'm looking for page number in the header and footer group. When I click on that, you've got to be careful. You're already at the top of the page, so you don't really need to choose top of page. What you really want to do is you're already positioned where you want it to be, so the current position is what you want to select here. And they want us just to select, I believe, the plain number. So it's going to put 1 in there for page 1. Now, we can close out the header and footer by simply clicking on that red X. We can also, if we were back in here, and you can get into it very quickly, a header or footer by just double clicking in it. So now I'm in it. If I want to get out of it, I double click in the body area of my paper. and I'm back out so I can type my text. So, what should you consider when writing the first draft of a research paper? There are some bulleted items that are listed in your textbook under the section Typing the Research Paper Text. I highly recommend that you read through that in case you need to remember some of the methods of citing your sources, that you should have the introduction, a body, and a conclusion in a research paper, those kinds of elements that make up the research paper. So we're going to enter in Nina Yazzie. And enter. Notice it's double spacing for us. Mr. Slobovnik. Enter. Yeah, the spell checker has trouble with that one, but we'll take care of that later. This is English 101. And the date they have is October, and you spell it out. Notice how the little helpful autofill pops up. I could go ahead and hit the enter key to get October in there. 6, 2021. This is a future event, apparently. It's a future research paper. And then we would hit the enter key after that. Now, we need to center the title of our paper. Yes, you could go right up here to paragraph group and click on the center button. Here's our blank line that needs to be jumped over to center. But you can also, if you'll notice how my little mouse pointer has a little center button underneath the I-beam. If I double click there, it'll move that insertion point over to the center location. So now we can type in health concerns of using technology. And we're going to hit the enter key. Notice that we're still centered. Well, we don't need it to be still centered, but we can move it back over to the left margin. The next little section has keyboard shortcuts for formatting text. You know, I like to use some of the keyboard shortcuts because my hands are already on the keyboard while I'm typing, so I can make those reaches very easily. Most of you probably like to, you know, grab the mouse and go clicking, and that's okay too. But I did want you to know that they do have some keyboard shortcuts, and they actually have you use one right now. We need that insertion point no longer to be centered, so if you hold down the control key on your keyboard and tap the letter L, it'll move you back to left alignment. Now, we're just going to click save for right now. We've named it, so when the textbook says to save it and give it a name, you've already got your name. The next thing they want you to do is to view on the ribbon and check mark the ruler. I like to have my ruler. Here is your horizontal ruler. We can set tabs or tab stops, and you can indent on both sides. And then you have your ruler, vertical ruler on the side. So we have turned it on, and we want to do first line indent paragraphs. So if you look at the ruler, there are pieces up at the top. So let's hover here for a second. If you look at the little bitty box at the bottom and you hover over it, it should tell you, I hate that little double, there we go, left indent. The bottom half of the hourglass, I like to call it, is hanging indent, and the top one is first line indent. We want to grab that top one and move it over to the half-inch mark. There's the half-inch mark. Now, you're going to ask me, what is that, those two arrows pointing at each other? I hate it. I've never liked it ever since they introduced it in Word. But if you double click to hide the white space, you seemingly lose the top part of your margin of your document. It's still there, it's just you opted to see more of the typing area. I don't like it because it confuses people and they don't know how they did it and they don't know how to undo it. But you just point at the same place again and double click and it'll bring it back up to you. Okay? So, we have turned on our ruler. We have slid for this paragraph. Notice not any of these paragraphs is it moved. But when you get down here to the one we were assigning it to, it has been moved. And you'll notice how it automatically indents. I don't have to hit the tab key. Ms. Straffen, could I not just use the tab key instead? Yes, you can. You certainly can. But in this particular instance, when in the graded assignment, if it tells you to do it this way, you've got to do it this way. Okay? Now, we need to start typing our first paragraph. And if it's okay with you, I'm going to pause this till I get some text in, and then I'll bring it back up so that you can see it. You obviously can find it in your textbook. Okay, I have the first sentence keyed in, and the next sentence of this paragraph, they want to demonstrate autocorrect. So I'm going to start typing this next sentence. Well, I thought it was. I thought I had clicked in there. Sorry. Here we go. These conditions are on TEH. Sometimes our fingers do typos. They create a typographical error because they transpose the two letters. But when you hit the space bar, autocorrect will fix that for you, and it does that for a lot of words that we do or that we misspell or we run together. It's in the autocorrect dictionary, if you want to call it that, that looks for those types of mistakes and corrects them automatically for you. Okay, the rest of this sentence then would be rise for users of technology. Now, they want to show you a little bit about that autocorrect. So if we go back to the word, you see the little blue rectangle and you point at it. And if you click on the options, you can see you could change it back to TEH. Why in the world would you want to do that? Well, let's say you're a school teacher and you're teaching first grade or kindergarten or, whichever, any of the elementary grades. And you want to create a document that has a lot of misspelled words, and you want the students to circle those misspelled words and then spell out the correct word. Well, if you're typing it up like this to give to them, and you're going to duplicate that and hand those papers out for them to use as an activity, whether it's graded or for practice, then you would want it to change it back to TEH so they can find the mistake. Also, you'll note that there's an option for stop automatically correcting TEH. I don't really advise doing that, okay? And then the control autocorrect options will actually allow you to go to the menu where you can actually work on putting in words that you frequently mistype so that you can give it the correct answer so that it always corrects it for you. So we're not going to go to that one just yet because we're going to go to it a different way. So if you just hit the escape key on your keyboard a couple of times, it'll make that go away. Now, they do have us go and create an autocorrect entry. So we're going to go to File, and we want to go to Options and Proofing. So Options down at the bottom. And then we're going to go to Proofing. And you'll find autocorrect options at the top, and there's a button for it. So you're going to click on it. And you'll see that you could tell it different things. Like if you typed a C and a set of parentheses, a lowercase c, you get the copyright symbol. And so on. And if you scroll down through this list, you'll eventually, of course, there's some emoticons and whatnot, arrows that you can create, but sometimes people spell about with two B's and it'll correct it to about. Sometimes you run two words together. So that's what we're trying to do here. If there's a word that you misspell quite frequently, then this is the place to put it so that it only catches it if you do misspell it. So let's try the word I believe is going to be computer. So what we want to do is in the replace, we're going to type in COMPTUER. And I have to admit that is sometimes what I type instead of computer when my fingers are tired. That's what I say. My fingers are tired. So then I'm going to tab over and please make sure you spell computer correctly there so it corrects it. And then you can add that, and you'll see that it's listed in alphabetically in the C's. If you had typed something wrong, if you typed the replacement, that what it's supposed to be replaced with, you would want to go find it and you could delete it. Now we're just going to say OK, and we can close out this dialog box for word options. Now we are going to enter some more text that starts off with a repetitive strain injury, RSI in parentheses. I'm going to at least get started, then I'm going to kind of step away from you so I can finish that paragraph up. Okay, I have begun typing the second paragraph, and when I got to the end of that section, instead of typing a period here after fingers, we're supposed to add a space there. So something tells me that we're about to possibly enter a citation. So I need to be able to cite my sources. And it's very important that you cite sources. If you have to directly quote somebody and you put quotation marks around their work and have it embedded in your document, then you must cite the source. Sometimes you might have a picture. You still have to cite the source of the picture. If you have footnotes that indicate more information about the topic, you still need to cite the information of where that came from, where the additional information is coming from. So we need to first change our bibliography style. We haven't done that yet. So we want to go to references on the ribbon, and you'll notice in citations and bibliography we have style is APA. We want to change that with the pull down list arrow to MLA 7th edition. Now that doesn't take care of everything, but it does get us geared up for using the MLA style guide. We want to insert the citation. So we need to go to insert citation, the big button there. And in this case, we want to actually add a new source. Sometimes in this scenario in the book, they have you do a placeholder. All right, so we've got this wonderful little dialog box here, and it has a wealth of text boxes for us to fill in. So we've added a new source. We want to select the type of source, and in this case, it's an article in a periodical. So you're going to click on the pull down list arrow and look for article in a periodical. And by the way, you can scroll down through here. There's a lot of things here that you could select, but article in a periodical is what we want. Now, in terms of the author, we click in the author text box, and we're going to type the last name is Z-H-A-O. I'm going to say Zhao. Xin Li. Make sure I spell Xin right. Li. And in the title box, I'm just going to tab till I get to title box. Technology, Aches and Pains. The periodical title is Monthly Medical and Review. The year is 2021. The month is July. The day, let me see here. We don't specify a day, so we're going to go down to pages. And for pages, we're going to type in period, this is all lowercase, in period space, PAG period. What does it mean? The MLA documentation style uses the abbreviation n.page. For no pagination, which indicates the source has no page references. This is common for web sources where you don't have page numbers. So that's what that stands for. Now, we need to see some more fields because they didn't show them all. So there's a little checkbox for show all bibliography fields. And we need to scroll down here so we can see more of these. We need to go down to the year accessed. Down toward the bottom. And the year that this was accessed is 2021. The month is October, and it's OCT period. Make sure you capitalize the O. The day accessed is 1. And then that's all the information we need for this particular source, so we're going to click on OK. You'll notice that it fills in, and I put mine in the wrong place, looky there. Well, I need to move that. Let's see if we can move it successfully. And there I go. I had my insertion point in the wrong place. Okay, now I have an extra space there that I do need to get rid of, so I'm going to backspace off one of those. But when you click on this, you'll have a little handle to move, which I had to do, which is not in the book, by the way. But you can also pull down and edit your citation or edit the source or whatever that you need to do there. And we'll be playing with some of those as well. So if you click away from the selection there, they want us to put a period right after the closing parentheses. This is the way that MLA guidelines require you to cite a source is that they're in parenthetical references. Now, the next thing to do is add more to this paragraph. So a space after that period, and factors that can cause these disorders include, and again, I'm going to continue on to kind of speed things up. So I'm going to halt here for just a second. Sorry. Now, as soon as I finish typing in the rest of this paragraph, they ask us to save our file. So we just click on the Save button. And then they want us to get ready to use a footnote. So footnotes are typed at the bottom of the page. And thankfully with Word, they automatically are inserted. The little line that's drawn above them is drawn the right length it's supposed to be. I can remember typing all those things on just a regular typewriter. I really would have loved to have typed all my research papers using Word. But at any rate, we want to be able to create a footnote. And so we're going to insert a footnote right after the period in injuries here in our document. So I just want to make sure my insertion point is right there. I don't want to goof up again. So you'll see that the footnotes has a big old insert footnote. I do want to point out to you, you can insert endnotes, but it's a little smaller button. So I'm going to use insert footnote. It draws the line, it has the footnote number, it puts the footnote number in the document itself, and then puts it down underneath the line that it's drawn. So what we're going to type is the text that belongs here. Oh boy, that's not a word. There we go. Now it says hit the space bar there because within our footnote we're going to put a citation. So we want to go and make sure that we click on Insert Citation. And in this case, we're just going to add a placeholder text because maybe we haven't gathered all the information we need. So we're just going to name the placeholder Clark, the first name of the authors that are listed, the first author I should say. And we'll say OK. And then obviously a period comes after that. Now, the text here is not the way it's supposed to be in MLA Style Guide. Remember double spacing up here? It's got to be double spacing here. Remember that it's supposed to be indented, first line indent down here. Also, the font size is supposed to be 12 point. So we've got a few things here to tweak to make it look and work like MLA Style Guide requires. So we want to right click anywhere here on the note text, and we're going to want to do I'm looking for it, style, there it is, style, and we need to look for footnote text in the styles group, which it's already pulled up, so it's already got that selected. That's nice. Now we want to modify that style for the preview here that we have for the font size. So modify, we're going to change that to 12 point, and then we need it to be double spaced. And it's kind of hard to tell here what's what here. This is single space. You would think that would be double spaced and that would be triple spaced. However, it is that third button that is the double spacing. And let's see, is there another thing? Yeah, we have to go to paragraph. Remember we wanted to indent? So we want to choose the format button in the lower left-hand corner and click on paragraph. And we need it to, we've got the double spacing here, but we need it to use a first line indent. So in the indentation here, under special, we're going to choose first line. Notice that first line indent is a 1/2 inch. 0.5 is a 1/2 inch. So let's just make sure we don't have anything else that needs to be changed on any of these. Make sure I covered them all. You would click on OK for the paragraph dialog box, and then OK for the modify style box, and then apply in the style box itself, and now you are indented, you are double spaced, and if we go back to the home tab to look, we are 12 point. Now I'm just going to click back on references just so I'm there. And if you scroll here, you can see, if you click on this up here, usually you can see what it's going to be. Maybe not. Used to you could hover and it would bring it up. There we go. Not hovering long enough. It'll show you what that footnote is. Okay, let's save what you've done so far. Now here is a boo-boo that a lot of people will make. Oh, I just want to click on save button, sorry. And they will start typing down here, like they're typing the rest of the paper in the footnote. Don't do that, okay? First, though, we only put a placeholder here, so we've got to actually edit this. So I'm going to click on the citation options button, and I want to choose to edit the source. Now, let's see here. Let me see what it's supposed to be. Oh, I edited this citation, sorry. I knew that didn't look right. Let me look at this again. Edit source. I just got click happy. I got thinking, no, I didn't say citation. Choose book. Now the authors, there's 2 of them. So what we want to do is we want to click on the edit button for authors' names, and we can type them in the order that they should be in. So Clark should come first. The last name is Clark. First name is Addison. Middle name is Lee, L-E-E, and we want to add that. And then we want to type in the second person's name, which is Nadir. Oops, excuse me, that's the last name. Aisha, first name. And then the middle name is Sati, S-A-T-I. And we're going to add their name. Now, we have added both of the names, so we're going to click on OK. You'll see how they've listed them here, and they separate them with a semicolon. So we have them in the right order, and it would have sorted them in the right order when it produces the bibliography or works cited page. Now, the title of their document is Repetitive Strain Injuries. And let's see, the year is 2021. The city where the book was been published is Boston. The publisher is Lighthouse Publishing. And let's see, the medium should be print. Make sure you're using proper capitalization. Now, it says after we've typed that, we can just click on OK. Now, there's a little known fact, I guess you could call it, but it says that if your citation, which uses the author's last names, are mentioned in the actual text that you are referring to, so if the author's names are mentioned, or you mentioned them, then you don't want their names repeated in the actual citation. So we want to be able to change that, and this is where we're going to do the edit citation. That's where I went accidentally before. And we want to tell it, in this case, the page numbers are 65-66. 65-66. Check the box for author because we want to suppress the author's names. And we're also going to make sure that the title doesn't get selected. The year will not be selected according to the guideline that we're using. So now only the page numbers show up. Now just click to the end of that footnote and then save it. And I want to read this next statement. You know, I told you that folks will oftentimes, or I shouldn't say folks, students should oftentimes will start typing here, and they're supposed to go back up here. It states, as the first step to enter more text, position the insertion point after the note reference mark in the document, which is up here. Press the enter key. And then we're going to type another paragraph, and I'm going to pause this so that I can get the paragraph entered in, okay? Okay, I've gotten the next paragraph keyed in, and at this point in your textbook, they want to show you how you can count the number of words that you have with the word count indicator. Now, by default, my word count indicator is already turned on. If I click on it, you can see word count, how many pages. Right now we're still on one page, how many words I've typed, how many characters, no spaces, how many characters with spaces, how many paragraphs I've typed, how many lines I've typed on the page. And this includes any text boxes, footnotes, and endnotes. So I could close that out after I've looked at that if I wanted to have the statistics about my word count. Now, automatic page breaks. We're going to continue typing at the end of the third sentence here. It has us hit the space bar and continue typing the rest of this paragraph. And I'm going to try to stay with you so I can show you the word wrap to the next page. Oops. I'm still suing instead of using, sorry. Long day. Now, let me pause for a second. As we were typing up here, we've got 3 full lines here. And as we continued to type, it was here, the next line was here, but as we're typing down here, we haven't finished it yet, it knows that you're not supposed to have widows and orphans. So widow and orphan protection is turned on. And what that means is you don't want to have the first line of a new paragraph at the bottom of the page and the rest of it on the top of the next one. You got a widow. Or all of the lines are here on the bottom of the page except for a piece of a line up here, or just one line. That's an orphan. So as you're typing, it will automatically adjust that spacing for you. No guesswork on your part. You just keep typing. Okay. Let's see if I can get the rest of this in there. On these devices. They want me to misspell the word hearing and hit the space bar. We're going to insert another citation. Let's see, right here. By adding a placeholder. I needed to check to see where I was. You can see the 2 that we've entered so far, and we're going to add a new placeholder. This placeholder is going to be named Sanchez. And we'll click on OK. And we'll hit the period so it ends that sentence. I've already covered the show and hide the white space, so I'm not going to do it twice. Okay, so we had to go get the information about Sanchez, what we're citing our source here. So we've gotten that information. We need to go back then and add the rest of the information. So just somewhere in this placeholder, you can just click in it, and you can click on the pull down list there, and you want to be able to choose edit source. The source of this one is website. So click, probably need to drag it about halfway down, is website. The author is Sanchez, comma space, Jorge, and Mario as the middle name. Name of the web page, technology and your hearing. Okay. Now, we go down to year accessed. It's a website. It's probably not necessarily updated daily, weekly, and so we're just skipping the year because they didn't provide a year on the website. But when did we, as the writer, or when did Yazzie, I should say, read this material? 2021 for the year access. October, abbreviated again. And again, it was the 1st. And the medium is web. And then once we have that information typed in, we can say OK. And we've completed that citation. Now, there's some more text to enter. Looks like we just want to hit the end key on our keyboard, so we're at the end of that line. And we're going to press the enter key and start this new paragraph. And I will pause the recording just so we can very quickly get this done. Okay, I've gotten that last paragraph in. It says to save the research paper again, so we'll click on our save button. Now, creating this alphabetical works cited page. First and foremost, we want to force a blank a new page, at the end of this. You never start typing the works cited page in the body of your document, your research paper. So we can force a page break. Just make sure that we're at the end of our document. By the way, let's practice here. Control Home will take you to the top of your document. not into the header, but it'll take you to the top of the document. Control End, hold down the Control key, tap the End key, will take you to the bottom. And then we want to insert the page break. I'm just trying to make sure I'm putting it where they want us to put it. Okay, so you're going to go to Insert on the ribbon, and then the first group is Pages, and Page Break is right there. Notice Control Return. The button doesn't say Return, it says Enter, so it should be Control Enter. We'll also do that as a keystroke combination. So what you have here is a line that's drawn that indicates there's a page break, and now you're on a new page. And whether it's a bibliography page, works cited page as it is for MLA, you need to make sure that you start that on its own separate page. Now, we do want to apply a style so that the works cited title will be actually centered between the margins of the paper. Remember, we added that first line indent, so that's going to throw it off. So we've got to modify our style here. So we're going to go to Home on the ribbon, and we want to make sure that we're in the location of where we want to start with the works cited page. Let's see, we want to click on Normal. Even though it's selected, click on Normal again. Now, we're going to start to center the text, and we're going to do a Control E to jump to center. Yet another way to get to center. We're going to type in the words Works Cited, and then we're going to press the Enter key, and we're going to do a Control L to go back to the left margin. Now, remember how you had to do a hanging indent? You had to get these all alphabetically listed by authors' last names, and you know what pieces of the cited sources are underlined or bolded or got quotes around it, italicized, all those things that you have to remember. Word's going to take care of you. So we're going to go to the References tab on the ribbon, and we're going to click Insert Bibliography. Now, we want to click on this button for bibliography. They have some nice little stylized ones, but none of these, we don't use this with this pretty blue. I wish we did, but we don't use that. Instead, you're going to choose Insert Bibliography, and there it is. Clark, then Sanchez, then Zhao. It's got a hanging indent for those that need a hanging indent. It knows what needs to be italicized. Okay, this is the name of the article with the periodical. This is the name of the article that Shin wrote. Okay, so you can see here, you didn't have to figure it out. However, they've made a couple mistakes, and we're going to have to go in there and fix them, and that's okay too. We want to save the research paper before we get started with proofreading and revising, so let's just save it. Now, they have under the heading in your text, ebook or printed, proofreading and revising the research paper, and they talk about what you should consider when you are proofreading and revising your paper. Don't assume that the spell checker is going to catch every misspelled word, because there may be a lot of proper names in there. Don't assume that the grammar checker is going to catch it to the degree you want it to catch it. Proofreading is still a vital part of your research paper. If you can get someone else to read it, because you're so familiar with it, having written it, if you get someone else to read it and or to proof it for you, that helps because it's fresh to them. So that could be another resource you have. All right, we want to manage our sources here. So we're going to click on Manage Sources, and we can see that in the Source Manager, I'm trying to get my headset in the right spot. Sorry about this. We want to choose the article Make sure I'm looking at this right. Yeah. I want to choose Zen's because apparently what we've typed in there is not quite correct. I want to click on the little edit button in between the source available in and the current list. So I'm going to do the edit, and up pops the stuff that we typed. If you made a mistake, if Sam says that you didn't capitalize the R in review for this periodical title, how do I get back in there? Go to your proofreading and revising the research paper section in your text, and you can figure it out. Okay? Now, in this case, they want us to remove, I believe, the word "and" in the periodical title. So I'm just going to double click on it to highlight it and delete it. Now, I'm going to backspace. I already know there was just one space there, but I always want to make sure that you understand that you only need to have that one space left. So just to be sure that you've got it correct, sometimes a little backspace and then put the space back in guarantees that you've got just the right amount of spacing. And then all we have to do here for this one is okay, and then it's going to ask us, the source exists in your master list and current document. Do you want to update both lists with these changes? Well, yes, please. Now, updating the field in the bibliography. And here's where I really, truly wished that they'd done a little bit better job with this. We've done an update here in our source manager. We're going to close that out. But when you look at Zal's entry in the works cited page, it still has the word "and" there. When you click here, it's going to highlight the whole thing. So what you want to do is just right click somewhere in this area, doesn't matter where, and choose Update Field from the menu. And the word "and" is now removed. I would have hoped that once we managed the source and made the change there and said yes, that it would have automatically fixed the bibliography page, or in this case, works cited. So I'm still waiting for that to happen, but I'll be happy with what we've got. Now, save what you've done. And the next little thing that they have you do is go to the navigation pane. So we're going to go up here to View on a ribbon first. And we want to put a check mark in the navigation pane checkbox. I got to find where I'm at here. There it is, and Show. I'm blind, I can't see. Alright, so here's the little navigation pane over here, and you can make it a little bit wider if you need it to. I'm just dragging that little border there so I can see a little bit more. Okay. Now, I can use this to let me, go where I want to. If I want to look at the pages, I want to jump to the first page, I've gone to the first page. I want to jump to the second page, there's the second page. I want to jump to the works cited page, I can jump around here using pages. Now, to go to a page, we've done that step. Insert a citation using an existing source. Oh, we need to add another citation. And we're going to move a citation. I've already done that, haven't I? So, if you're looking in your textbook now, you're in the to insert a citation using an existing source section of the book. So, I like to close out my navigation pane so I have more room to see everything. Now we're supposed to put our insertion point at the location for the citation at the end of the 5th sentence in the 2nd paragraph before the period. Okay, let's see here. Let's go to page. And I'm going to take my zoom control down a little bit so I can see a little bit more of the page layout. And I'm looking for between a mouse and keyboard. Okay. And this needs to be inside the period. So it's actually to the left of the period because it's a citation. It's not a footnote, it's a citation. Then after we've placed it there, go to References on your ribbon and insert citation. And in this case, we're going to choose the first source listed there, Clark and Nadir, an existing source. And you'll see how it puts in their names, Clark and Nadir. Now, we've got it there. Okay, this is where they said to put it. I'm good. Then it says the citation just entered is not in the right location. Okay, so we need to move it. So click somewhere in the citation to be moved to select it. And then if you would just click here, and this is the little tab to move it. And we're supposed to insert it after repetitive strain injuries at the end of, yes, we do. Okay, so here we go. We're going to put it inside of the period. So right after the letter S in injuries, but before the period, we're going to put Clark and Nadir. And if you'll click away from that for a second, we still have our footnote. And if you've got the 2 spaces that I have right there, because I didn't get rid of it, make sure you get rid of one of those spaces. Okay? Save it. Now, they want you to also play around with find and probably find and replace. So we're going to go to the Home tab on the ribbon. And I would like to actually do a Control Home first, because I like to start looking for things from the top of my document. And then I'm going to go to the editing group at the end of the ribbon, and they're going to have you click on Find. So we'll try Find first. And the navigation comes over. We're going to choose Results. And then we're going to type in the box auditory in the search document. And you'll see that it's going to highlight that. It's going to slide us up to where those words are found. And it's found 2 results. And it's showing us where those are. We want to just close this. I just wanted us to see if we could find it. So we're going to close out the navigation. Now, the other word they want us to look for, and we're going to do a replace with it this time, is go to the replace option. And let me bring that in. It kind of popped off the side. It still remembers we were looking for auditory. And we want to replace it with the word listening. Now, we have a question to consider here. Do we want to replace just one of them or replace both of them? If you wanted to, search for it and then, like find next and search for them and say keep one of them, and then the next one you can say change it by using replace, you can do that. But since we want to replace both of those instances in our document, we'll do a replace all. All done. We made 2 replacements. We can close this out. And if you scroll back down to where that was at, the bottom of the first page, kind of showing you where it is, listening, as opposed to auditory. Now, they also introduce you a little bit here to the synonym, because sometimes we use the same word over and over and over again when we should try to use some synonyms. Again, I'm going to park myself at the beginning of my document, and I want to look for the word that they're telling me to look for. And they want us to find a synonym for the second occurrence of the word continual. Well, they don't have you do it this way, but I'm going to go find it. I can just take off the word that's there and just type in continual. Okay, and they want it to be the second one. So now I've highlighted that second one. I can right click on it, point at synonyms, and I'm supposed to choose the word frequent. So I roll over, click on frequent, and we replaced that one. We left continue on the first one, but we replaced the second one. Now I did this a little differently than the book shows you, because I wanted you to see how using find and using the navigation pane with results selected can sometimes make it so much faster to find it than you trying to scour through looking for this second occurrence of continual. I can close out the navigation and I can unselect the word, and I'm going to save it. Checking spelling and grammar at the same time, so we want to do a control home again. And if you put your spell checker up here, spell checking grammar, as part of your quick access toolbar, you can always add any of those things. They kind of toggle on and off, and you have to go back and pull down the list again to be able to either turn it off, turn it on. Or you can go to review and your spelling and grammar checkers here. It's going to stop on Mr. Slobovnik's name. Just make sure you check to make sure you spelled it correctly. And what we want to do is ignore, and I'm going to ignore all. Hearing, it figures out that maybe it was herring. No. Hiring, no. Hearing, yeah. And I love it that they give you some synonyms. So we're going to change that hearing, and now it's complete. Now, let's see here. Okay. I believe that they're supposed to have stopped on and also. So mine didn't stop on that. So let's go take a look, a little closer look. Let's be at the beginning. Let's go to File, and let's go down to Options, and let's go to Proofing again. And in this case, we want to go down here to, when correcting spelling and grammar in Word, choose the grammar pull down list and choose refinements. You can look at all the different things that you can check or uncheck for the grammar checker to correct or prompt you to correct or suggest different things for you to do. But right now, let's just say OK here. And if we run that spell checker again, now we have the and also we were supposed to get. And we don't need to actually use that adverb there. And also, no, excuse me, preposition. Just choose and now we have it correct. So this is a case of not having the refinements turned on in the grammar checker, and now you can see how to do that. And at this point in time, we should be able to save this for the last time. Now, they do walk you through how to print. You don't have to print this. They walk you through how to use the Smart Lookup button and to use the Researcher button. Now, the Researcher button is only on the Office 365 installation. So you might have it at home on your computer, but in the classrooms that we teach in here on campus, we're using the Office 2019 version, and it doesn't have that Researcher option. But you can walk through and use those. You can see how to use zoom control, and you can switch to read mode and not to read mode. And this is just this thing down here that I despise. This is read mode. Now, it works better with a research paper, I will give it that, because there's no pictures for it to be tripped up on. But it just irritates me so much, and so I usually switch myself back down to print layout, because for me it's easy for me to see it. I can make it big enough to read and so forth. Now, there is, I think, comments, and I think they have us put a comment in here, and then they have you delete it. So we want to go to the last sentence of the second paragraph. Okay, last sentence of the second paragraph. And they're going to want us to choose that text. So we're going to highlight that text. Just don't include the citation. And then they want us to click Review on the ribbon, which we have Review possibly already selected. Display for review. No, that's not what they have here. Let's just go to the simple markup, or show markup. It's funny because it's not calling it what it normally would call it. This is tracking. And I'm not really sure why it's not giving us what we want from the review tab. But we do want to go to show comments. And we're not seeing that. So let's see here. Show markup, comments, show markup. It should be selected. We'll do the reviewing pane sideways here. That's just revisions. Let me step out just a moment and see what we can find. Okay, I'm just blind as I can be. I think what happens is that PowerPoint screen menu keeps popping up in my way. We want to go to the one that says, I think this is the one they're referring to as display for review. Click on the pull down list arrow for that, and there's the simple markup, and now you can show comments. So now that it is available, we can click on that. Now, we're going to add a new comment, and now you can see how it pulls the comments here to the side. Sorry about that. I thought I was clicking on the right thing, but I could not get it to pull down the way I wanted it to. So our new comment, let's see, it has you type in, let's cover the hand and arm exercises in our brochure for patients. Okay. And then they want us to select the last sentence of the fourth paragraph. Okay. Which should be lower volumes, just don't get Sanchez. Okay. And we're going to add another comment there. And this one says, let's stress this point. Talking about stress injuries, and they use the word stress. In our brochure for patients. Now you'll notice that if you shared this document, someone else could reply to your comment, and they might say, oh, let's don't put it there, let's do it in a separate brochure or something like that. So you could have kind of a discussion and a sharing of this document where other people could post replies to your comments. Now, if we want to go back to the previous, we can click on the previous button. It takes us to the first one. We can go to the next one, down at the bottom. And we can edit the comment in the comment balloon. So, which one are we supposed to edit? The first one. So, let me just go here. So, I want to be able to edit. So I click, I'm already in the edit mode there, and I just need to put my insertion point where I need it to be. Let's cover examples of, so space, and make sure you have examples of, then the rest of it, the hand and arm and so forth. And then you can go to the next comment. And you can reply to the comment. So you can click on the reply button. Let me kind of scroll this up a little bit better. And you can see where it kind of indents it here. And they have you just say, excellent idea. And I believe there's an exclamation point there. Now, we can show and hide the comments when we don't want to see them. We can turn off show. We can turn it back on when we want to see it. We don't have to have those selected anymore. So we can toggle that off now. Now, to delete a comment, position the insertion point in the comment to delete. That would be the reply to the second. There's the bubbles, by the way. This would be the comment that we made in reply. So it's down here. So I want to be able to click somewhere in my message there and then just hit the delete button. Let me see here. In comments group, there's a delete button to get rid of that part. Now we want to delete all of them. So if you click on the pull down list arrow for delete comments, you can see delete all comments in the document. And now we don't have any comments left. Now, this should get us ready then. Control Home, I like to park it at the top. Save it, and we're ready to upload it for grading. Remember, after you've saved it, you should always close it. And it's kicked me out of Cengage because it took us so long to do this. So let's just go back into our second textbook project here for Word Module 2. And I may have I may have made some mistakes, but I was trying really hard not to. Okay, I don't want that showing. I want to start it. And now I'm ready to upload it. So I put it in Word 2. So I'm going to select it. And it's the right name, so I'm going to go down and submit button on the bottom. View the report. And I have to save it, so I want to make sure it's going into Word 2. It's the first report, first attempt. And I'm pretty sure I could have made some mistakes, and I did. Now, this is actually a good thing. Okay. They're telling me, see the comments. See, I have train. Okay, not strain, but train. I wasn't proofreading all my typing. Okay, so I'll close that one out. And what's this one saying? Repetitive strain injuries. So their source, I got to fix the source. Okay. Any other? Yeah, here we go. Paragraph was not found, and that's because I left out the S in strain. These are good. The paragraph beginning a repetitive strain injury was not found. Again, referring to the places where that was supposed to be located for Clark and Nadir. Okay, so I need to do some adjustments. And remember, we don't do it here. We do it in our real document. So I'm going to open up my original file. Actually, I'll just bring it in to okay, it's this one. There we go. I'm going to go in here and I'm going to open up. I got to make this big enough so I can see which is which. I'm going to open up my real document. Okay. This will fix a couple of them, maybe even more than a couple. And it said something else about my citation here. So I need to go in here and I just need to see, let me edit the source first and see if I have something misspelled. Look at repetitive. I didn't spell repetitive correctly in here. These are excellent mistakes to make. And what I'm going to do is, because it's so small, I'm just going to repetitive. And I'm going to say OK. Now, I need to go down to the, see, I haven't fixed it yet. I have to click somewhere in here, then right click and choose the update field. Now I've got a little problem here. I'm going to go back and look to see if I got nadir in the wrong place. So I need to go back to that same cited source, and I'm going to just click on it, and I need to edit the source. I need to make sure I got her name entered correctly. So I'm going to go to edit. It's Clark, Addison Lee, Nadir, Aisha Sati, and I typed it correctly, so it's okay. I just wanted to make sure it was okay. Now I'm going to go back and look at my errors. This was because of the S. This was because of the S. This also was not found in the document. Okay, this was telling me that, it was looking for repetitive and I didn't spell it right. So hopefully those are all my mistakes. So what I'm going to do with this report is close it. And I'm just going to control home, and I'm going to save this document, and I'm going to close it so I can upload it again. Now, I just need to go back here. I need to close out this instance, go back down to the Word Module 2 SAM textbook project, launch it again. And now I have to start a new attempt. So I'm going to click on Start New Attempt. Start. I just need to upload it again. I don't have to redo it. I just need to start it again. Make sure I don't get the report. I just need to get the one that's got my name at the end of the file name, and I can submit it. And hopefully have a better score now. Hopefully 100. Notice it's going to be report 2 that gets saved. And we're going to open up report 2 to see how we did. And this time I fixed my errors and everything looks good. Now I told you, I'm going to close this out. I told you that I was going to show you, we can close this out too actually. Here, if we go back to Word in our, whether it's your flash drive or your OneDrive, whatever you're using, remember all of these files here are part of Word Module 1. Click on the first one that's in there, that's a file. Point at the last one and hold down the Shift key and click. Remember how that gets all of the files together? And then left click, drag and drop it, and make sure you're dropping it on the folder called Word 1. And presto change-o, they're all inside of the folder they belong to. So that's a lot easier than trying to figure out which ones are 1s and 2s and 3s when it comes to which module you're working on. Okay, so this will conclude our work with Word Module 2 SAM textbook project. I hope that this has helped you.